On peut voir le Capitole des États-Unis.
Okay. Here you go.
Pretty good. I guess this is similar to what you could find in France. He put it in the oven for me, which French people would never offer. But I love warm croissant, like they're just out of the oven. But that's not typical. So now talking about the prices. I think this was $4.35 with the taxes, which is something also that's a huge cultural difference. In France, every price you see already includes the taxes, so you always know how much you're going to spend. And it's, you know, if you're bad at math, like I am, it's very nice. Yeah, but so, in France, a croissant like that will cost, I guess, a maximum of €2. Like, maybe in Paris a little higher, but yeah, €2 seems like a okay price, even less
Sure.
sometimes. And same for baguettes, you know, like a baguette costs not €2, it's like 110 to like 150 euros. So it's pretty good price, and here it's really hard to find a good baguette because you have to have the consistency right. You have to have it crispy on the outside and very soft on the inside. And one thing that in America is surprising is that they don't have this culture of you buy your bread on the day and that's it. The day after it's not fresh anymore, so you do something else with it.
Is this a law or just a custom?
This
And
croissant?
no, like buying the bread fresh or only serving fresh bread.
Everybody buys their bread fresh, like of the day of, like in the morning. Baker wake up super early to bake everything for the day, and you'll see lines sometimes in the morning of the French people going to buy their daily breads, you know, and that's such a huge cultural aspect of France. You have to go buy your bread on the day. Some people go to the bakery every day, which is not something that American would do as a habit, just go every single day to the bakery, but that's a thing in France. So yeah, I don't go every day here because of first the price, two, it's not the same quality, and if it is a good quality, it's a little far away from where I live. So yeah, this is one of the habits that I had to give up on a little bit.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, anything else about that?
Yeah, okay, it looks good.
Good, because it has to be flaky. If when you eat your croissant, it doesn't flake, it's not a good croissant.
Let me see.
Yeah,
Which way is it? Ah, it's too close. I don't have it in focus. There it is.
When you do that with your croissant, it has
Oh, there it is. We're in the good focus.
it
Yeah.
has to become flaky. If it doesn't, that is not a good croissant. This one is not too flaky, but it is flaky. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. We'll enjoy it.
yeah. I don't know if you're interested in that, but the best and cheapest croissant in the US you can find at Lidl.
At where?
Lidl.
Oh, okay. Good.
The
No.
shop, and they're 50 cents, which are super cheap, and they're very good. So
Yeah.
highly recommend. All good?
Yeah.
Affordability is a bigger concern.
So my experience as a French person in the US has changed a lot depending on where I live. When I first arrived in the US in Georgia, in the middle of Georgia, it was kind of hard at first because first I didn't speak as good English as I do now. And so people wouldn't understand me necessarily all the time, so I had to repeat myself a lot. There's a lot of things that were lost in translation, but I guess it did push me to speak more and to progress, since there weren't any French speakers where I was living. Maybe another student that was French, but I barely saw that person during my whole year abroad in Georgia. So that was a little complicated, but here I feel like because it's such a huge city and there's a much bigger French community, it's really easy to come here and transition to the American lifestyle, because you can talk to people who speak French. There's a lot of tourists, but there's also a lot of locals, and they organize a lot of events. For example, the French Embassy and the French Alliance Française, they organize things for Francophones a lot, and there's also other embassies that organize events in the French-speaking world.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be France, so you hear a lot of French in the streets and things like that.
So it's more Francophilic, more kind of international than, say, Georgia.
Exactly. Where I was, like, there were a few group of international students in Georgia, and I didn't meet much adults that were international, so I guess you could stick together, but people were from everywhere. And here, people are from everywhere, but you have a lot of French-speaking people around here. And so actually March, we just started the month of April, but March is the month of Francophonie around the world. So you have a lot of celebration and trying to promote French language through events or, you know, like document celebrations. So it has been very great. They show French movies in the embassies or clubs around the city. They have exhibitions, they have talks, debates, like game nights in French, conversation groups. So definitely, as a French person, if you are scared to do the step of moving to a new country and, you know, getting used to the culture's change and the cultural shock, coming to DC would be a much smoother transition, because you have a community that can help you, or you can talk to if it's all too much, especially if your level in English is not, you know, fluent and you want to progress. That's the perfect place to be.
What percentage of the area's population speaks French? Like 1-2%, or?
I have no idea about that, but I did definitely meet a lot of people. And even one thing that's amazing is some French artists, like singers, would come to DC to do concerts. So I went to the concert of Tiakola, who is a French artist, and in the concert hall everyone was speaking French, and it was so nice to see, like I don't know, hundreds of people probably there. It's a small venue, but yeah, there were hundreds of people speaking French, and like even the singer was talking to the crowd in French, and it felt like being home for a moment. And that's something I never had. That feeling I never had while I was living in Georgia or other cities in the US. I feel like DC is pretty unique in that way, that you can feel home, and even like there's so many French restaurants around town. So if you're like feeling homesick, you can just go and get like a baguette à raclette. I found raclette here, which is amazing. You know, that's so hard to find in a lot of places. I don't know if you are familiar with what a raclette is, but basically, a raclette is a special cheese that you cook on the raclette machine. So I have one at home, like every French person probably that likes raclette. But this is such a typical thing we eat in the winter. So you melt your raclette cheese on the machine with your little pans. Then you put them on the potatoes with ham and charcuterie, sometimes pickles, and it's just the best thing ever. And, you know, just being able to eat that outside or at home and find the cheese just, you know, brings some warmth to you as an immigrant or expat, or no matter your status of a, you know, French person living in the US. So pretty cool. Okay, so something just happened. There was this guy with a MAGA hat that was just waiting to cross the street, and two cars kind of slowed down to be like, nice hat. And to me, it's kind of crazy, because in signs in front of our house. We don't have clothing, like our outfit, that show our political affiliation. Like, a lot of people find that voting is very private, and if you discuss with families, like, usually a lot of people vote for different parties, like within the same family, and you don't really talk too much about that. Like, sometimes it's very obvious, and you may have like fights with people about political ideas, but because we have such a wider range of parties and candidates, usually for elections, like, some people might be like closer in their political opinion, but not voting exactly the same, and like, it's fine, you know, like, it's all part of the debate. But I feel like in the US, politics is like supporting a sports team, for example. Like, you wear the outfit, you're like very, you know, outspoken about who you vote for, and somehow that brings you close to, you know, that one team that votes like you, and against the other team that votes different.
Yeah.
It's very unhealthy.
Very divisive. Or
exactly. Like, politics can be divisive. Polarizing, exactly. Politics can be polarizing, and friends too. But I feel like, you know, the fact that there are more options is healthier for everyone.
Well, France is more of an organic nation. It wasn't founded to the same extent, on revolution.
Yeah, so that's my opinion about the politics. You know, it's just super different, and that's how I view it.